The Doctor is very old. He carries a lot of emotional baggage. He's loved and lost, found and gave away, and saved and killed. So the Doctor showing his emotions shouldn't come as a shock, but now we have Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor, probably the most emotional Doctor we have ever had. So all of this crying, is it too much, or has it been a long time coming? Hello guys, welcome back to New Who HQ, I am Matt. Today we are going to be discussing the interesting topic of showing emotion in Doctor Who. And I'm narrowing it down to the Doctor, and I'm narrowing it down to Ncuti Gatwa, although I will use other examples from other Doctors to back up points. Before we get into this video, if you are new and you'd like to subscribe, that will help me out massively, and if you give this video a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments. First thing to start with is the Doctor has always cried. Often when main characters cry in shows, it's a big dramatic moment for the character and the story. And you can tell the audience how serious the situation is. Of course, if you've got a character that never normally cries and they do cry, it's a big moment and it means something. And this could signal a lot of things for a character, meaning they could change. Maybe them crying could lead to them in a change in character. So, it can mean some big character developments when your character cries. Like the Doctor losing Rose, for example, the Doctor losing Amy and Rory, some of the biggest moments of the show for them Doctors. Now, the 10th Doctor and the 11th Doctor have cried away from them examples, but those were the big moments, and I believe Tennant did cry in majority of his finales. He cried when he lost the Master. So we're talking about basically times where either he's lost something or someone. Like at the end of time, he's about to regenerate, he doesn't want to go, and when he loses his companions. And that feels very valid. I don't think anyone would be shocked with him losing Rose or the Master, because even though the Master is a bad person, we know, the audience know, the Doctor cares, especially that incarnation really does care for the Master. He's the only one left, he is the last of his kind, and he doesn't want to lose him. So that plays into that when he cries, really powerful moments. And I feel like the 10th Doctor is really good to compare, because the 10th Doctor often gets viewed as quite a human Doctor, on Earth a lot, has quite a lot of human sort of takes, human emotions, sort of just understands the human race a little bit more. That kind of makes more sense for that type of Doctor to show emotion. The 15th Doctor has cried in more episodes than episodes that he has not cried in. This certainly is very new. I think that's another thing which people are very iffy about. We are witnessing a Doctor that is really going for it with his emotions, which I have never seen before, and that is new and an aspect which has not been dealt with properly. So it's an interesting avenue to go down. But at the same time, if you think about it, if you were about to be blown up, like in Boom, or if you were witnessing racism right in front of you, as a black person, would you not be emotional about that? I'm not saying everyone would cry at stuff like that. People deal with things differently, but it's very normal. It's the most normalist reaction you would get, would be crying if you're in them situations. So realistically, it makes total sense for the Doctor to cry in their moments. It also shows that the Doctor just cares more, simple as that. It shows that he's a nice person, that he shows his emotions, he's not afraid to do it, and that can make him look like a more openly nice and relatable person. So at the end of the day, the Doctor has been through so much, obviously. So crying about things makes complete and utter sense, as people with a tough past get emotional over many things. That's another thing. The 15th Doctor could often cry about things which aren't worth the cry. But if you're already triggered, if you've got that PTSD from past events, if it reminds you of something from the past, because it's quite the same type of situation, that can make you cry as well. So for people saying that it makes no sense, it completely and utterly does. But, I said it's going to be balanced. Let's have a look at the other side. So the Doctor did have a massive break. This is a thing. And there's two sides to this. One side is that the Doctor has sort of had a break because the 14th Doctor retired. We're doing rehab out of order. The doctor had time to relax, and you'd imagine within that time he was relaxing, he would let some of the emotional baggage, his past, go. Almost like the doctor went to therapy. Now, this is the thing, just because obviously someone goes to therapy does not mean that they're cured and does not mean that they stop crying. Coming out of therapy, you can actually learn to cry more, because there seems to be some sort of weird obsession with people saying that crying shows weakness, will not solve your issues, where actually, I've often had a cry if I've had a really bad day, and I feel 10 times better after it. So maybe the doctor has learned from having them breaks. Don't forget, he was living with Donna, living with a bunch of humans who cry a lot more than the doctor did. He's learned that actually crying is okay, it's very acceptable. And that makes sense. But the other thing, and this is often the thing that I argue against, is that it does ruin high stakes scenes. Most of the time when the Doctor gets emotional, it is finales. You have the Doctor in Yaz, the 13th Doctor. Capaldi, I don't know if he properly cried, more just got quite emotional. Obviously David Tennant, Matt Smith didn't, he cried. Like the most memorable one is obviously when Amy and Rory die, which is kind of like a finale for their story, their whole sort of time together. So yeah, most of the time it is finales. Obviously there are exceptions, but let's get the majority of times. It is finales. Yeah, you got to think about it. There are times when the Doctor has gone through a very emotional time and he's not cried, and we're like, why? Why? Surely in this moment this is the time to cry. So you could look at it the complete opposite way, in that sometimes Doctors didn't cry enough at times that you really should be crying. But for me, when the 15th Doctor let out a painful scream in the finale of season 1, it should have been so much more powerful. The Doctor blames himself that the universe is gone, everybody's dead, that's it. And for me, it didn't feel powerful, and almost on the side of frustrating. And it didn't make the scene stand out anymore. Like the examples I said to you about when the 10th Doctor, the 11th Doctor cried, those are very unique, original moments because they don't happen very often, and we remember them. I don't remember, without having a proper think, of the best moment that the 15th Doctor's cried, or then the finale, which should be the big moment. And just to confirm, that finale was probably the biggest finale in terms of high stakes out of any New Who finale, let's be real. So this should have really been front and centre. If you want to cry, absolutely go for it. But sadly, it's the amount of times which then got to the sort of, oh, here we go again. I think for me personally, it's not that I don't like the Doctor crying, it's more that I prefer a darker Doctor. And that's just simply a preference. I like more in main characters. I like them to be flawed. I like them to be a little bit broken, have some dark moments, which is why I love Capaldi. That he really does hit the nail on the head for the type of Doctor that I like. And whilst he does become nicer, his journey feels earned, and we understand why, but he's still probably the darkest Doctor that we have had in New Who. So when Capaldi does sometimes tear up for such a dark Doctor like him, that was very, very powerful and so much more rememberable than the season 1 finale with the 15th Doctor. But at the same time, the Doctor has two hearts, so maybe he's just feeling everything twice over. And another thing, quickly, is that Ncuti might just be really good at crying. Like, crying on cue is not easy, and many actors can't do it. Only the top-notch can. And maybe Russell knew that Ncuti could cry a lot, so he decided to use that for them powerful moments. And I think at the end of the day, it is an incarnation of the Doctor that's being more emotional, and I think that is totally and utterly fine, and it's different, and I think people want different sides of the Doctor, otherwise it gets boring. So yeah, completely and utterly, that's very, very valid. But I also do believe that the Doctor does do it too much. Way, way too much. Save it for the finales, save it, it's perfect in Rogue, and in Boom as well. When you're about to be blown up, of course. But something like The Devil's Cord, the Doctor was scared, of course, but the Doctor was scared, the Doctor was crying about the threat of Maestro, and yet Maestro was defeated so easily. That makes us feel like, well, that was a waste of time in crying. But for him, obviously, he felt like it was the time because he was that scared. That felt a bit over the top. Robot Revolution, honestly. Yet again, we have to understand that he knew Sasha 55, but 6 months worth, it depends how deep they went, but for me, again, wasn't needed. But if the actor's good at crying, then why not absolutely use it? And I think that's what they're doing. So it's an interesting topic. I kind of have gone more towards the fact that it is okay to cry, but I completely understand both sides. As long as you're not going to become hateful over it, let me know your thoughts in the comments, otherwise we'll just remove it. It's a very interesting topic. If you're new to the channel, you'd like to subscribe, that will help me out massively. Give this video a like, let me know your thoughts in the comments, share, all of that sort of stuff. And yes, I'll see you all very, very soon. Goodbye.